After 5 years of creating exciting business content with amazing businesses from around the world, Savvy is now creating a new video series entitled Heartbeat of the World. This series will feature experts from around the globe. We will highlight and discuss some of the greatest challenges facing the U.S. and the world. Co-create with us and find out more at bit.ly/savvypatron. Our guest today is Brandon Pipkin, author, keynote speaker, international trainer, and coach. Brandon helps entrepreneurs and everyday people find and live their greatness. Today, Brandon shares his wonderful research and book, 21 Questions for 21 Millionaires: How Ordinary People Create Extraordinary Success. Find out more about Brandon at brandonpipkin.com. Hi, Brandon. Welcome to Savvy Business Radio for our Heartbeat of the World segment. I'm so grateful to have you out here today.
Thanks, Christina. Pleasure to be on.
Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful because you have done amazing work really getting inside the heads and brains of some of the top millionaires around the world. You wrote 21 Questions for 21 Millionaires: How Ordinary People Create Extraordinary Success. And I love this topic because I've had so many wonderful, great business owners who've built fabulously successful businesses on the show. And other people will say, well, how is it possible? They must have some special gene, or they must have gotten some big loan that just propelled them and everything just fell, into pieces. And I'm like, what was interesting is talking to all these people is that just like your book, they're ordinary people that strove and actually created extraordinary results. So yeah. I'm excited for you to share some of your wisdom and secrets you learned from these guys. But before we go there, share a little bit about your background, how you became a speaker and really helping people inspire them to be their best.
Yeah, thanks for the great question. So I grew up in poor circumstances. My mom raised 4 of us on her own. We had to have help to get through. And I told myself, I will never be in that position. Way too charming, way too talented, way too good looking. Life will just open up to me. And I obviously very delusional as you look at this mug. That was not the case. And got involved in network marketing several years ago, around 2000, 2001. And I caught fire with personal development. So I read everything I could, and I studied, and I went to the seminars, and I listened to the CDs and books and all that kind of stuff. But rather than finding the success that I was told I would be able to, all I found was more debt and more frustration, because I knew, even though I'm not as good looking and talented as I thought I was, I knew I'm working hard. There's something ought to pop here, and it wasn't. So I kept reading and studying and trying to find what is it that creates success for people. And that's what pushed me on this journey toward interviewing these people and sharing that message. Was your idea that if I really get the secret sauce that I will now create that for myself? Is that what you were thinking? Exactly. And I wanted to share that with other people. When I started writing the book, my subtitle was Find Your Passion, Find Your Success. My goal was to interview 21 down-to-earth millionaires whose names you don't even know, because I wanted to show the reader that these people are closer than you think they are. Your success is closer than you think it is. And so I wanted to find out, how did these 21 find their passion, parlay that into their success? But what I found was that the pattern wasn't what I thought it was.
What was the biggest kind of wisdom that you pulled from interviewing all of them? Like if you had to pick one grand wisdom that you got from it, what was it that you didn't expect?
Stop buying and believing the experts, the supposed gurus. Stop casting your line out and pulling in, reeling in everything these people with the fake countdown timers and the limited time offers and all that kind of stuff are selling. Because that's not how these 21 did it.
And it's interesting. I had a guy a number of years ago who had a slew of health issues, but his dream was to be a champion in the flying arena. And the doctors were like, hell, you could barely walk across the room. There's no way you're going to ever fly an airplane.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I refused to accept that. And on my bed, while I could barely walk a couple feet without, wanting to pass out because his heart was so weak. He had heart surgery. He started to build a plan on how he was going to get his pilot license, because he didn't even have that, and how he was going to actually do a world record in competition. And everyone would look at him and go, "You're nuts!" But 2 years later, he had gotten his pilot license. Now, mind you, because he had such health issues, he had to get a sports pilot license, which has restrictions. You can only fly during the day and only a certain amount of distance. So to do around the world or around the 50 states in something like that is much harder than an aircraft where you could fly around the night and you don't have restrictions. But he still did not give up. I mean, just like we were talking about before our interview, sometimes you have all these obstacles that make you think, maybe I'm on the wrong road. And sometimes it's not, are you on the wrong road? Is it something you want bad enough?
Right.
Did you get that when you were interviewing some of your 21 millionaires as well?
Oh gosh, they all encountered challenges, significant challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what helps me when I encounter challenges, because we all do, even when we're on the right road. And a lot of them had to overcome very significant things. The fifth person I interviewed, Heidi Ganal, she's now a regent at CU, Colorado University.
Mm-hmm. She
started Camp Bow Wow. And her story is that when she was in her mid-20s, her husband died in a plane accident. She got the $1 million settlement. She proceeded to blow through that, as most people do. She created 2 different companies that didn't really work out and failed. And then her brother said, hey, look, you've always wanted to start this doggy daycare, dust off that plan, let's work. And then she had all kinds of challenges and things trying to get that going. And you keep at it long enough, you keep working the right things that your heart is telling you to, you either A, become who you need to be, or B, it pops for you, or C, both of those happen together.
Yeah, I love that you say that, because it's not a straight path. I mean, I've heard people say, hey, if I just got the lotto, if I just won the lotto, it'd all be over. I'd be a mad success at whatever my passions are. And it's not true. I mean, a lot of us, we've heard about people who win the lotto. They're like, well, if I won the lotto, I'd buy a house, I buy this, I do this, I whatever. And before you know it, they do just like most of us would do, is you blow through it and you have nothing to show for it, and you're and sometimes in worse debt than when you got started.
I believe the number is 75% of all those who win the lottery are in the same or a worse position 5 years later.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think the secret isn't just having the money, but knowing how to keep the momentum and keeping it growing. Because money, like everything, you give a pile of money and you keep taking out of the basket, but you're not putting back in. Eventually, the basket's going to be empty.
Right. That's one of 2 options. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's one thing that I really pulled away from talking to a number of successful people, along with the fact that I think there's this kind of myth that one day you're just going to wake up and, you know, you didn't do much work, but you just landed on success. And one thing I got from that guy who won the 5-time world championship and the world record, and then also a number of other business owners who made it big, as they said, people look at me and they see the end result, the success, but they don't see the 20 years that led up to it, where I was a nobody and no one even knew who I was or what I was doing. I mean, I think that's something that I think people don't realize as well. It's not a one-step process.
That's right. One of the people I interviewed, Mark Sanborn, he shared a phrase that somebody shared with him. Every overnight success is at least 15 years in the making.
Wow. Yeah. 15 years in the making. Now, what have you found about focus? Has focus played a big part in helping these people you interview become successful?
I'm so glad you asked. That's one of the key things I want to discover when I interview people. And right now I'm interviewing Olympians. And one of the questions I'm asking them is, tell me about focus and discipline. Not surprisingly, they really key into how important focus and discipline is. And when you're an Olympian, you have a single-minded purpose. Training for the Olympics. I'm preparing myself to compete at the highest levels. These millionaires, however, that was interesting to ask about their focus. When they got their business idea, and by the way, it wasn't this aha, wow, this is what's going to make me money. It was just this logical step, this thing that made sense to do. Then they worked at it consistently. Some of them with very specific, dogged determination and focus, and some of them kind of almost like, hey, this is what I'm doing right now, and this is what I'm giving my energy to. I may as well do this. So, and that surprised me, because it wasn't like I've read in all those other books, which is you have to devote your whole life to this. You have to throw everything at it. You have to forget any other pursuits and endeavors, is what those other books seem to say. But Matt Given, the third person I interviewed, he said, it was kind of like I was following this natural process in my business maturation. And that's all it was, just this easy process. I'm doing this, and here's what I think I should do now.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was fascinating that I also read that they were like, a lot of them didn't have set planned out goals. We've been told you have to put them on paper. They have to be very, I mean, you can cross correct, which I also remember reading about, that the cross correcting is that they all had in common with the idea of, okay, it's not working, stop doing it. Let's do
right?
something else, or smudge it a little bit over here, over there. It's that kind of, let's just fix it a little bit.
Right.
But I thought that was very interesting that he was like, I didn't really have a goal. I just knew that I'm just going to keep at this, and then boom, oh, okay, it's working for me.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. And I would gather from a lot of people I've talked to, one of the reasons that really stopped them from reaching their goals, along with this guy I told you about earlier, is that people had said to him, why are you so amazing? There's nothing that you can't seem to do. And they said, I'm not different than anyone else. The only difference is I don't stop.
Right.
It's like you don't stop until you get to where, wherever you're trying to get to. It's like there's, what I'm saying? It's like he had said that I had difficulty. There were 100 different times I could call, throw in the towel, but I didn't. And I think most people would have been like, this isn't working. I'm just going to throw in the towel.
That's one of the key things that I have trouble helping people wrap their minds around when I talk to them about the book, because one of the surprising things was these people didn't operate on goals. 3 of them had concrete goals. Mm-hmm. And really only one of them said, this is my path, this is my plan, and followed it step by step. The others, it was a circuitous path, as we've talked about. Mm-hmm. So we get so caught up in our society with goals, and you set the goal, then you set the path. A goal not written down is only a dream. Then you work your plan, and we throw out all these cliches. That's not how these 21 did it. They worked hard, though, and it wasn't necessarily because here's my goal and I'm going to keep working hard until I get there. It was, I'm going to keep working hard because hard work is just what I do. Yeah. And if they saw that this wasn't the right thing anymore, you're right. They just said, okay, I'm just going to keep working hard and I'm going to work in this direction now. Mm-hmm. They didn't care. They didn't have this idea that I have to work hard to get to this point. Mm-hmm. It was simply, I work hard and this is what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. Well, I love that you were talking about working hard, because the one thing I've heard from people who are not doing as well as they like, or not succeeding the way they want, is I'm working so hard. I'm doing this, that, and the other. Why am I not having the success I want and other people are? Am I just unlucky? So let's speak a little bit to that. What is it that, is it just simply working hard? Or is it simply working hard with a mindset that's different behind the people who make it and the people who don't? What's the difference?
I wish I knew that magical answer right now. The 5th thing that I found that they all had in common is that they had luck on their side, yes. And some of them mentioned it as luck, some of them divine help and intervention. Some of them saw maybe I wasn't lucky, yet there were others who did similar things and didn't have the same outcomes. Yeah. So there is absolutely something to that. And here's where I think the 4th thing I learned from them is so important. They followed their gut. And one of the other key learnings, the 2nd thing I learned from them was we all have a unique path. And these people let life unfold naturally, line upon line. So some of us do. We work hard. We put in all kinds of time, energy, effort. And then we don't see the fruition, and we wonder, am I working on the wrong things? Am I doing the wrong activities? Or have I just not figured it out yet? Mm-hmm. And I think it's so important to keep in mind that if we pay attention to that little voice within us, pay attention to our gut, our own unique path will open up. And for some of us, we'll work for 3-4 months and boom, something cool might happen. And we get the validation right away. You're on the right track. Some people might labor at something for much, much longer without that immediate validation, but you just know this is the path I need to be on.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned this. For me, prayer has been a really, and God, speaking to God, has been a really big pull to helping me discover when I had that kind of pull inside, should I go this way or that way? Prayer has really helped me decide, okay, this is the best path for you. And where I've gotten into problems is when I said, nah, I don't think so. I'm not ready for that. And I don't do it when I get into a slew of problems. Now, Savvy, like I mentioned before the interview, was something I just did for a marketing tool. But prior to that, when I was praying, I had the inclination that you need to do this right now, a podcast. And I'm like, why? I don't do that. I'm not a broadcaster. I don't care to interview people. But I felt pulled through prayer that God was saying, you need to do this. And I said, okay, I'll just do it. But like I told you before the interview, within 6 months, and I was not promoting this in anywhere else except maybe a random Facebook post, I got 45,000 listeners in 6 months, and I wasn't even trying. A year later, we had paid sponsors and paid promotional interviews. It's amazing sometimes that when you're talking about following your gut, and for some people that's prayer, for me that's prayer, but how important that can be to your overall success.
Oh, I think it's vital. Absolutely vital to knowing where you need to be. I've got a firm faith foundation as well. And what took me out of sales and into training, I wanted to go into the training world forever. I wanted to help people and develop people. But I knew that the first department to get cut in any cutback is training. And I thought, I want to have a family. I don't know if I can support a family on a teacher's salary. So I went into business and stayed in sales, et cetera. And I got to a point where it was so painful to manage. It was a retail environment and things just weren't really working the way they said they were going to work. And it was so painful. And I prayed and I said, Heavenly Father, where do you need me? This is killing me. And the answer was training. And I thought, great, it's going to be an easy road to get into training. You're going to help me. It was anything but. Rough road, but that was the path, and that's where I needed to be. One gentleman, he said he didn't really believe in God, and I said, did you feel like God was putting you where you needed to be, or did you pray for that? And he said, no. But I asked him further questions, and he said, I felt like I was where I needed to be, though. So yeah, some people, if you've got a faith foundation, check in with God, see where he wants you and needs you, because he will ultimately direct your life where you need to be.
Yeah.
If you're not a believer, you've got a voice within you. You've got a feeling. Pay attention to that feeling, because if you do, you will bring to bear in this life your very best, and you will bless the rest of us with your gifts, talents, and abilities.
Yes, absolutely. And it's interesting because you mentioned that it wasn't a straight line to success. Even after God gave you the prompting, this is where you need to be. And I find that interesting because in my life and starting the business, I was praying one day on the way to my corporate job at the time. And I told God, I can't take the corporate life anymore. You just can't. But I feel like you won't have my back if I quit. And I felt God tell me, since when have I not had your back? No matter what you decided. So the thing is, it doesn't always have to be easy. It doesn't mean that's not the right path. And I think that's where people begin to think, well, maybe I misunderstood my prayers, or maybe I should not go along with the feelings, the pull I'm getting inside, because maybe they're wrong. And I think sometimes when you're on the most right path that you're meant to be on, you are going to have obstacles, maybe even family telling you this is nuts. Wait till you have more money in the bank, or wait till, things are better and the timing's better. But I think sometimes if the calling is deep inside of you, you just need to really go with that call.
Yes. Yeah, you absolutely do. I joke with people, and it's not too much of a hyperbolic joke when I say that I've sold 63 copies of my book worldwide. Yeah. Pat myself on the back. 63 copies worth. And again, it's a little bit of a joke. There's more than that. But really, the message is so compelling, I think. The answers in the book, the path that people can see that these people took, and then relate that to their own lives, I think is so compelling. And yet, the vehicle to get this message out, or the way that it's been, the way that it hasn't been accepted, I think is emblematic of our society, where we want the quick answer, we want the easy answer. I'm not selling that. What I'm selling is how you can find your own path. And I'm telling you, it's going to be a lot of work. And I'm telling you, it's a long road. And I'm telling you, you're not going to follow these 5 guaranteed steps, and in 10 years, you're going to have the pile of money you hope to. What I'm telling you is the hard-nosed truth about how ordinary people create extraordinary things.
And what I'm getting there is that the instant gratification that we've been sold, that we all want so bad, is not really what we really want. Because the people who've created great things in our life, from people who've, become, what do you call it, Olympic champions, to playing the violin, to a ballerina, they created through a lot of hard work over many years. And it wasn't instant gratification, but the end result was so much more rewarding. I said this once last year on my show. When I was a teenager, there's a cassette opera. I loved opera as a teen. I wanted a tape. My mom's like, I'm not buying it for you. You're going to have to save up your allowance, which at the time was $2 a month or something. It was very small.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, I'm never going to get this DVD that was $17 at the time. And I really, really wanted it, but I saved months and months and months. Do you know when I got that DVD finally? It wasn't a DVD, it was cassette tape. When I finally got that cassette tape, it was the most precious thing in my collection. Like, if I had a fire shortly after I got the tape, or a couple years after, I would have ran out with that cassette tape. because it meant so much to me because I worked so hard to get it. And I think that's something that we've lost in our culture that I'd like to see us bring back.
Because yes, you have just, the neurons are firing. The reason we've lost that is our quick fix society. We have so many gurus out there who are selling the guaranteed system to success to make themselves a buck. They care nothing for the end user. They're not doing it for the end user to help them live a better life. Although that's the guise. Hey, if you follow this pattern, this will be the outcome. And one of the guys I interviewed, Rob Emmerich, said it so well. He said, in life and in business, we want a formulaic process. A plus B equals C. And if I always do that, I always get this. He said, it's not like that in life and business. And that takes me back to that point. Each person's path is different. Just because somebody else did A and B and it created C doesn't mean that that's the way it's going to work for me. Because if it did, I wouldn't grow and develop the way that I need to. I wouldn't have those experiences. And I love what you said about that tape. Thomas Paine, during the American Revolution, he said, "'Tis dearness that gives everything its price. That which we attain too cheaply, we esteem too lightly."
So true. Very, very true. I love that as well, because I find that people call me now that I've built the show and we've hit 3.5 million listeners per show. And people are like, okay, can I look you up, have a call with you, and you give me all the magic secrets so I'll have a podcast next year with this many people? And I'm like, well, for one, it's been 5.5 years that I've been on the air now, and we're now on 9 AM/FM platforms, but it didn't get there overnight. In fact, the AM/FM platforms found me and asked me to be on only because I started to build this podcasting platform. But it wasn't like you said, to the people you interview, it wasn't like I was looking for it and trying to get into the market. Not that that doesn't work for some people. You know, one girl who came on my show at 7 years old, she wanted to interview folks and be a reporter and stuff. So she got on the red carpet. She jumped up there at 7 years old. Someone thought, oh, that must be some celebrity's kid. And she just started going up to celebrities and asking them questions. And now she is a reporter, investigative reporter. She goes out there and whatever, but it's because that she had that push all the way back from then, and she just went out there and did it. But yeah, it's not that one-step process that people think about.
Oh no, it's multi-step, and it's not a direct path. And that's why in the book I use the words line upon line instead of step by step, because step by step seems to imply that it's a straight path, exactly, and that it's congruent at each step. It's not. It's this line and then this line and then this line, and little by little, and it's not a symmetrical path.
Yeah. In fact, that person I'm talking about right now, she's still working at it, and this is from 7 years old, and now she's 19. So that's a long stretch of working at it. So so it isn't a straight path. But like you said, there'll be people, like one guy who came on my show. He said, now my business is worth 25 million, but it took me 10 years till it started to explode. It was kind of going bit by bit by bit, and then it went poof. And so people look at me like, oh, you're instant success. I'm like, no, I worked 25 years.
Exactly. Your entire background, experience, and education are coming together now. And that's what Jeffrey Luftig said. He wanted to be an industrial arts teacher at first, and then he got his master's and then his PhD, because again, it was line upon line. And then he got into higher education, and then he was going to be a professor. And then he thought, well, I got two very smart kids. I want to help them go to college. So I'm just going to go consult for a little bit of time. It ended up being 14 years. And the way that he puts it is, my background, education, and experience all came together in a very serendipitous way. I could not have planned for it, but that's the way it turned out.
And that's how amazing I find God to be, because look at back when I was studying opera and violin and as a teen, that focus and that drive and the determination, all of that is used to what I do now, including how to use my voice well, which I learned in singing. So all of it comes together to do what I'm doing now, both helping people in my consulting business as well as doing the show. So it's all like my mom used to say, hey, you're a jack of all trades because you play the violin, you sing opera, you dance. Can't you just pick something and stick with it so you can be a master? And I find that now I'm able to be a master by pulling all the talents and gifts I got from all the things I learned.
That's right. And that was your path. And nobody else can fill that void the way that you can.
Absolutely.
TED Talk about plenipotentiaries, I think, is the way that it's it's mentioned, and it's how people bring together seemingly very diverse talents. Because again, one of the lies we've been told in our country is you pick a path, you stay in that path. I'm an engineer, that means I focus on engineering. And what this TED Talk is all about is if I'm really good at playing the violin, but I also love woodworking, I can combine those very naturally. And one guy did, and he started building violins. With you, the background in theater, performance, all those, and then business, you bring those together and you can bless other people in that way that nobody else can.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been such a fascinating talk. I don't want us to leave without everyone finding out where they can get your awesome books, because you have another book coming out on interviewing top Olympians, 21 questions to 21 millionaires for 21 millionaires. Where can they get that? And your newest book coming out as well.
BrandonPipkin.com, BrandonPipkin.com, BrandonPipkin.com.
Well, that's easy. And do you do speaking? Can they hire you for anything else? Speaking, coaching?
Absolutely. Yep. Speaking, coaching, custom engagements. I'm available for all of that.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, it's been such a blessing having you out here sharing your great wisdom today. Thank you for coming to Savvy Business Radio.
Thanks, Christina.
Savvy Business Radio is home to over 3.5 million pairs of ears per show across the globe and runs in syndication on 12 AM and FM platforms, including iHeartRadio and 8 podcasting platforms. Find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest. Call 732-474-7375 or email Christina at savvybusinessradio.com.